Welcome to the Explainer. We often think about obedience as a duty, right? Something we just have to do. But what if the real engine behind it isn't duty at all, but delight? That's the really powerful idea we're going to unpack today from the 17th century theologian John Owen.
So, Owen gets right to it. He asks a question that cuts straight to the heart of faith. What's the real, honest-to-goodness reason we do what we do? Is it just duty, maybe a little bit of fear? Or is there something else going on entirely? And Owen basically hangs his whole argument on this one statement from Christ. For him, this isn't just a nice suggestion. It's the master key. He's saying there's this unbreakable link, a real cause and effect thing, between genuinely loving and willingly doing. So for Owen, love isn't just some nice feeling that comes along with obedience. No. It is the engine. It's the thing that actually powers the whole system. Love is the cause, not the side effect. And here's where he makes a really bold claim, especially for his time. Owen says that any kind of obedience, it doesn't matter how perfect it looks on the outside, if it doesn't flow directly from a place of love, then in God's eyes, it's just not acceptable. You could follow every single rule to the letter, but without love as the source, it's all empty. Now, what's really fascinating is how he goes about this. To help us understand this powerful, genuine love, he first spends a lot of time telling us what it's not. He clears away all the counterfeits so we can see the real thing. And he warns us about two huge pitfalls. The first one's pretty obvious, hypocrisy. Just pretending to love Christ to get something else. But the second one, that one's more subtle and maybe even more dangerous. Sincerely loving a false version of Christ. One we've kind of invented in our own heads. And you can really see the difference here, right? This counterfeit love, it's often based on our own made-up ideas, or it's directed at physical things like statues or relics. It can be super emotional but totally disconnected from reason, and in the end, it just doesn't produce any real change. But genuine love, that's totally different. It's rooted in faith, it's guided by scripture, it engages your whole mind, and it always results in real obedience. And Owen gets super specific here. He calls out exactly how our love can get twisted. He's saying, look, if you deny who Christ truly is, if you ignore what he actually did, if you start worshiping images or chasing after mystical experiences that aren't grounded in the Bible, well, you end up loving a counterfeit. Okay, so after tearing down all the fakes, Owen starts to build. He gives us a blueprint, a kind of guide for what this authentic, genuine love actually looks like. He lays out this really clear four-part framework. First, real love is defined by the Bible, not by how we feel on a given day. Second, it's something that grows out of true faith. Third, and I just love this phrase, it involves the sober, sedate actings of the rational faculties. In other words, it's not some mindless frenzy. And fourth, it grabs a hold of our entire being, our mind, our will, and our emotions, all of them working together. So the huge point for Owen is that true divine love is never mindless. It's not about switching your brain off to have some kind of ecstatic experience. Nope, it's the exact opposite. It's the intentional, complete engagement of our thinking, rational mind pointed toward God. Okay, but where does a love like this even come from? Well, Owen zooms way out to show us its ultimate origin. He says it doesn't just start with us. It's actually grounded in the very nature of God himself. He argues that there is an eternal prototype, an original blueprint, if you will, for all the love that has ever existed in the universe. And this is his stunning conclusion. He says that the indescribable, eternal, and perfect love that's shared between God the Father and God the Son, that is the original pattern. It's the source, the fountain from which every other little stream of real love flows. He's proposing that every form of genuine love we see out there, in our families, our friendships, in our faith, is just a shadow, a reflection, that's designed to give us just a little glimpse of that perfect, original reality that exists inside the Trinity. And this leads to a pretty profound thought. When we, as believers, genuinely love Christ, we're not just manufacturing some emotion on our own. We're actually participating in and reflecting God the Father's own eternal love for his Son. Our love becomes an expression of his love. And here it is. This is the punchline. In Owen's view, this is the main way that we're restored and remade into God's image. Because God's number one object of love is the Son. When the Son becomes our number one object of love, we become more like God. It's that simple. All right, so finally, Owen explains why all of this matters so much by laying out the ultimate stakes. He doesn't pull any punches, and he uses two powerful Bible passages to show us the two possible destinies that are tied to this love. First, he gives us this incredibly severe warning from the Apostle Paul. He says, "For those who don't have this genuine scripture-defined love for Christ, the judgment is anathema," which means to be accursed, a statement of total and final separation. But then he immediately pivots from that stark warning to this absolutely incredible promise from Christ himself. The promise of a returned, divine love from both the Father and the Son, and the promise of a direct, personal experience of God's presence. So, Owen's powerful 300-year-old argument leaves us with a really personal question to think about today. It kind of forces us to look past just our actions and to examine the motive behind them. And to ask ourselves, what's really driving me? Is it just a cold sense of duty, or is it the warm, living, powerful engine of genuine love?